When we travel abroad, it's always nice to be well treated, being treated much like we are at home. You might even say that we carry with us a definition of hospitality. So what is the definition of hospitality for the Japanese? The answer is what is called total care. The Japanese people have a long tradition of treating visitors well. This spirit of hospitality derives from mainland China and Shintoism, Japan's indigenous religion. In fact, the Japanese often regarded visitors from other lands as if they were the embodiment of kami, or gods. Today, as Japan becomes an increasingly vital part of the global economy, it is the Japanese who are often our guests. Naturally, they expect to be treated with this same hospitality, or total care, that they offer each other and visitors. For many of us, the bottom line is not to embarrass or worse, offend Japanese guests due to our own unfamiliarity with their culture and customs, one that is very different from ours. But just as important, if we also understand proper protocols, traditional values behind Japanese attitudes, and the unwritten rules of Japanese behavior, we can begin to open up new opportunities for successful business relationships, even if we don't speak Japanese. Without this understanding, many of these opportunities might remain beyond our reach forever. And that's the purpose of this video, to show you some simple steps that you can take to welcome Japanese business guests to your factory, your office, or your home in a manner that will help establish and maintain a mutually beneficial, long-term business relationship. Now, we're not recommending that you completely imitate the Japanese. Rather, we suggest that the best cross-cultural encounter involves mutual understanding of each other's customs and value systems. We'll cover the following topics in this video. 1. Standard protocol. 2. Preparation period. 3. In the conference room. 4. Showing guests around the company. 5. Communications. 6. Social time. 7. Inviting Japanese guests to your home. 8. Closing protocol. 9. Follow-ups. We'll review all of this information and more during the videotape. You'll want to share this information with everyone who'll come in contact with your Japanese guests, from the president of your company to division managers to secretaries to employees on the factory floor, because you'll want them to treat your guests the way they would like to be treated, with total care. Your most important meeting with a Japanese business guest is your first one, so you should know the proper protocol for that crucial encounter. And with a little modification, these standard protocols can be applied to most other situations as well. Many of us Westerners view business as just business. We like to get right down to the point, or as the expression goes, get down to business. But for the Japanese, business consists of protocols or rituals which form the framework for the business relationship plus the business itself. Now, the Japanese view these protocols at the initial meeting as like an elaborate gate to a Buddhist temple. You must go through it to reach the main building. The first personal contact between two companies is the most important because that will shape what follows. Therefore, it's critical that it be done properly.
How do you do? I'm Frank Grace, president of United High-Tech Corporation. It's good to meet you.
How do you do? I am Makoto Sato, vice president of Nippon Electronics. Pleased to meet you.
Notice that the two men said only those things directly related to the greeting protocols and otherwise kept quiet as much as possible. Many Japanese, particularly top executives of large corporations, despise talkative people. That derives from a Japanese concept called hara, an attitude of holding things within one's center or gut. In such a manner, one will be unmoved and therefore not talkative. They only did one thing at a time and concentrated on it. Don't start greetings while you're still doing other things. looking at your papers, clearing your desk, and pouring a cup of coffee. They introduce themselves in a predetermined order, namely greeting first, followed by one's full name, title, and the organization or company. This places your Japanese guests at ease, since that is the procedure they're accustomed to when making an initial greeting in Japanese.
How do you do? I'm Frank Grace, president of United High-Tech Corporation. It's good to meet you.
They look directly into each other's eyes when they greeted. Such direct eye contact is actually an exception to the normal style of nonverbal communication in Japan. The Japanese generally prefer less direct and shorter periods of eye contact than most Westerners are accustomed to. In Japanese society, long periods of direct eye contact are usually associated with confrontation, such as in sumo wrestling. The Westerner did not bow. Most Westerners don't need to imitate their Japanese counterparts' custom of bowing. Unless you are familiar with Japanese culture, chances are you may bow too much or too little or not low enough and so on. A friendly nod with a firm handshake that's not uncomfortable for the other person is the best combination of the two cultures' greeting gestures. Oh, by the way, when Japanese communicate with each other, the most common form of address is the family name with the suffix san. Tanaka-san, Suzuki-san, and so forth. San is the equivalent of Mr., Mrs., or Ms., and can be applied to anyone, regardless of age, sex, marital status, or rank. The only name san should never be used with is your own. Under normal circumstances of business greetings, the business card exchange should go something like this. Notice that, 1, the two men had their business cards already held casually in their hands as they approached their guest. But they waited until both parties had finished the first round of greetings and then offered their cards. 2, each man casually held the card close to his body in his left hand and then grasped the card at the upper left corner with his right hand to turn the card around before presenting it. It really is essential protocol to physically turn the card around exactly as demonstrated here so that the printing is right side up for the other to easily read. 3, the other person's card was received with both hands. 4, after they received the other party's card, they studied it carefully while remaining absolutely silent. Remember that the amount of time you spend silently studying the other party's card demonstrates the amount of respect you show to that person. Japanese may spend 5 seconds or more silently studying the card of someone they consider important. As a result, you should never, 1, put the other person's card in your pocket without first looking at it carefully. That sends the message that you are neglecting or disregarding the other party. 2, write on the other party's card in his or her presence. Later, you can write notes on the card to help you remember important items, but never in front of the person. 3, present a soiled, bent, or mutilated card. Only crisp, clean cards should be used. Remember, form and content are one. Presenting a ragged card sends the message that you not only think lightly of your guest, but you also don't think much of yourself. The Japanese are very fond of concrete tokens to remember and associate with the actual scene. Some everyday examples include wedding tokens, charms from the places they visit, and of course photographs, the next best thing to bringing back home the actual subject of the picture. Business cards are part of this same thinking. A business card is the next best thing to having the person there. You might consider having your card professionally translated into Japanese and printing a set of double-sided cards with English on one side and a Japanese version on the other. This will indicate that you are an experienced international business professional specializing in doing business with the Japanese.
Now let's look at a variation in which two Japanese are met by two Westerners.
This is our vice president.
I'm Bob Karen, Vice President of United High-Tech Corporation. Pleased to meet you.
This is our manager.
How do you do? I'm Frank Grace.
Hello, I'm Yukio Tanaka.
Hi, I'm Bob Karen.
Hello, I'm Yukio Tanaka.
Believe it or not, there is even a hierarchy for seating in a car. The Japanese consider the seat in back of the driver to be the place of highest honor. So be sure to put your main guest here, not next to you if you are the driver. Seating arrangements have a special significance to the Japanese. In a typical conference room, the middle seat of the row farthest from the door is the position of highest honor. Urge your guest to take that seat, and then take the seat directly across the table facing your guest. By the way, the corner seat nearest the door is of the lowest honor. Of course, if there's more than one guest in the party, invite the person of highest rank to sit in the middle seat, and then the others in the group will sit on either side of that person on the same side of the conference table. This allows them to confer during the meeting. Try to place your people directly across from their Japanese counterparts, particularly of equivalent rank. Notice that these men put their counterparts' business cards out on the table in front of them, arranged in the form of a miniature organizational chart. This helps them remember the names, titles, ranking, and companies of their counterparts. That way they can refer to the cards as they speak. We normally think of the Japanese as tea drinkers, and that actually is true. But when is the best time to serve it? Just after your guests are seated. The most important thing to remember about serving refreshments to your Japanese guests is that the real significance is not to quench their thirst, but to share the experience of drinking together. So whether it's Japanese green tea or Western coffee, the one key factor is that you drink it together. And whatever you serve, make sure that you use good quality China tea sets, made especially for serving traditional Japanese green tea, and attractive cups for Western tea or coffee. In either case, you should never use plastic or styrofoam cups. It's clear how important form and content are. Even the containers of the beverage are important. The other key to this ritual is that you remain silent, at least for the first 2 or 3 sips. This may be the most difficult adjustment for Westerners who like to be efficient by getting down to business immediately. But for the Japanese, silence often indicates a state of good harmony and trust. The Japanese exchange gifts frequently to show appreciation and further develop business relationships. Your Japanese guests may present you with a gift with this in mind. If they do, accept the gift, express your thanks, and then put it aside. The Japanese used to wait to open their gifts until later. Some, under Western influence, now open their gifts as soon as they receive them. But unless your guest asks you to, it's not necessary to open the gift immediately. Some companies have strict rules against accepting gifts. Now, if you feel that you should not receive a gift because of your company's policy, don't make a fuss during this important protocol. Accept the gift anyway, expressing your thanks as you would normally. Put it aside carefully without opening it, and then go on with the meeting.
By the way, Mr. Tanaka, I'm sure you didn't know, but my company has strict rules about accepting gifts, and I'm afraid I can't accept this, but thank you very much just the same. It was very thoughtful of you.
What you've just seen are the standard protocols used when receiving Japanese business guests. As you continue to watch this tape, you'll see variations of these standard procedures in actual situations that you may commonly encounter. When we Westerners go to Japan on business, the Japanese begin preparing long in advance to make sure that everything goes smoothly when we arrive. And so, Japanese guests naturally expect the same from us. Use the following checklist to help in your preparation, and remember to start well in advance. Quite often, the Japanese decision-making system requires a formal written invitation before a response can be made to a verbal invitation. And sometimes, such a letter is required to get a visa. Whatever the reason, you should send an invitation at the earliest opportunity. 2, find out exactly what the objectives of the visit are and what the guests have planned to do while in your area so you can develop a schedule that fits. Also, obtain precise information about your guests and their company so you can brief your people. 3. Send an information package to your guests in Japan before they depart. That package should contain your company brochure, an agenda, and a list of the people they will meet, including names and titles. Include hotel, transportation information, and an explanation of the weather in your area with suggested clothing. 4. Assign one person as the official caretaker for the guests. This person should be responsible for providing total care on everything, including making hotel reservations, confirming flights, picking up the guests at the airport, arranging for meals and entertainment. 5. Arrange for the highest-ranking person available in your company to show up, even if only for 5 minutes, to greet the guests. Such high-level greetings are very important for the Japanese. 6. As the main host, you should arrange to be available to greet the guests personally, along with the person assigned to be their caretaker when they arrive. If you can't, have the assigned caretaker greet them and apologize for your not being able to be at the airport. 7. It's a good idea to prepare at least a token gift for each of your guests. Chances are they will bring something for you, so it's not only polite, but also gives you a diplomatic and strategic advantage if you can return the favor. Samples of your company's products, pen sets, or other easily carried items bearing your company logo or specialty items from your local area are fine. 8. If you plan to make a business presentation, prepare concrete things to demonstrate your ideas, along with plenty of audio-visual aids. The Japanese are very vision-oriented and like to see concrete things and actual scenes. 9. If you'll be having an important business discussion, hire your own interpreter or a bilingual consultant who understands the topic and specialized technical terminology. Be sure to brief him or her well in advance of the meetings. Greeting your Japanese guests for the first time in a conference room setting is really no different from what we've shown you already. You should always stand up, as you would for any guest, and of course, don't forget to have your business card in your hand if this is the first time you've met. 2 Japanese business guests have been escorted to your conference room by an assistant. You and another stand up to greet them. Here, the key person from the Japanese party first exchanges greetings with the key person on the Western side, president with president, for example. They greet and exchange business cards. Then, the key person on the Western side introduces his associates to the key Japanese person with whom he has just exchanged greetings. They greet and also exchange business cards. Then the key Westerner greets the other Japanese guest, followed by the other Westerner who also greets them and exchanges cards. No matter how many people are present, the important thing is that the key figures greet first. After that, the protocol is not as rigid. The others can greet each other in a fairly random order, so don't be too nervous about the order after the key figures have met. Even if one of the Japanese guests is a woman, greetings should take place according to rank, not the old principle of ladies first.
Japanese place a great deal of value on high-level greetings. You should arrange for the president or a person of appropriately high rank to pay a short courtesy call and welcome your guests. A few minutes is all that's necessary to indicate that you consider their visit important.
I know that Mike will take very good care of you. However, I just wanted to stop in and meet with you personally. Don't let me disturb the meeting any further. And again, it's very nice meeting with you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Nothing of any real substance regarding the meeting should be discussed at this point. This is simply a time for the 2 companies to get to know each other on a friendly but high-level basis. It's always helpful to give your guests a tour of your company and facilities. The Japanese particularly appreciate this because of the importance they place on being in the actual concrete scene, rather than hearing descriptions, seeing photographs, and so on. We can't stress the importance of this enough. Here are a few points to keep in mind. 1. As in any kind of presentation to the Japanese, give them the large picture first. For example, before starting the tour, show them a floor plan and explain which departments are on various floors. 2, politely inform your guests beforehand where they will be allowed to take photographs and where they will not. Also, explain what safety, security, or other special procedures they should be aware of. Japanese are used to these kind of briefings. 3. Move together as a group so your guest's interpreter can hear your explanation clearly and remember to allow enough time for translation. The rules about security in Japan and the United States are quite different. In fact, since one of your guest's main objectives may be to actually see that part of your company which is under tight security, it's important to explain your policy well before they've arrived. That's one reason why it's so important to communicate objectives and agendas in advance. Now, if your guests are familiar with non-disclosure agreements, then it's fine to ask them to sign one. However, because Japanese society places more emphasis on moral codes and less on concrete laws than most Western societies, many Japanese may feel your request to sign such a legal document before even meeting as a sign of distrust. It's important to communicate these kinds of requests before your guests arrive. In either case, you should offer alternatives rather than giving a flat no.
Can we see the metal, how the metal is being cured over there?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not possible right now. But we do have a completely new automated line over here that we just installed, and we can show that to you right now. Okay?
5. Notify all your employees who might come in contact with the guests of their visit and tour. If your staff members offer a friendly hello as the guests are being shown around offices, production lines, and other operations, the Japanese will feel as if your organization is much like the family-oriented company they are used to in Japan, and like important guests. Many of the problems and misunderstandings that occur between Japanese and Westerners doing business together can be avoided through following a few simple guidelines. Here are some tips to improve communications with your Japanese guests. 1. Keep it simple. Don't overestimate your Japanese counterpart's ability to understand spoken English and Western culture. Try to slow down your normal speed of talking and speak clearly, being careful not to sound condescending. 2, do it often. To avoid misunderstandings, repeat important points by rephrasing them later in a conversation. And 3, make it visible. As we said before, Japanese are very vision-oriented. They appreciate concrete photographs, diagrams, models, and prototypes. For example, most restaurants in Japan display plastic models of their menu items at the entrance so that customers will have a concrete image of what they can order inside. 4, be comfortable with silence. Once again, don't feel the need to fill every gap in the conversation. 5, be careful with the word yes. Westerners sometimes hear their Japanese counterparts say yes and are later disappointed when the actual results are different from what they were expecting. You see, under the pressure of certain social or business situations, your Japanese guest may feel obligated to respond one way, even though his inner feelings might be somewhat different. Over the centuries, the Japanese have developed what they refer to as the art of nonverbal communication, which depends on heart-to-heart understanding. Now, this helps to smooth over embarrassing or confrontational situations. Japanese are able to express their real intentions and motives to each other through subtle phrases and choices of words that, when translated literally, may give a foreigner a completely different impression from what was intended. Westerners sometimes misunderstand these expressions or are unaware of what a Japanese is really trying to indicate, even though the conversation may be in English. 6, confirm the results. To avoid misunderstandings, write up a simple memo at the end of your meeting, which briefly summarizes what you think were the major points and what, if anything, was agreed on. After-hours dining and drinking are regarded by the Japanese as essential to cementing relationships among colleagues and business associates, much more so than by most Westerners. To succeed with the Japanese, therefore, you should try to make it possible to socialize after work. It will help you gain a level of understanding that was not possible during your official meetings. It's at this time that the Japanese can unburden themselves of their company responsibilities. But naturally, there are a few things to keep in mind. 1, business talk should be postponed until after the meal, unless your guests clearly want to discuss business and open a conversation of their own. It should be a time to relax, become better acquainted with each other, and relieve the pressures of work. A business breakfast is a very Western practice that doesn't appeal to the Japanese. They regard breakfast as a private meal, and they'll probably want to be left alone at this time. The Japanese are more used to the business lunch, but they prefer to use lunchtime as a chance to relax or as an opportunity to do networking. Be forewarned that your guest may not understand or appreciate our concept of the so-called power lunch. They may prefer to stick with light conversation. In some cities, a Japanese box lunch can be delivered to your company. This will make your guests feel especially welcome. Make sure it includes hot Japanese tea. If you prefer to bring your guests to a restaurant, the best choice is a good local place which serves cuisine unique to your area. Japanese appreciate local color, so stay away from chain restaurants and fast food. As you may have heard, the Japanese regard drinking together as an important, if not required, ritual of business. It makes the occasion a memorable one and establishes your relationship in ways outside the framework of official business. Even if you don't drink, tell the guests to feel free to order drinks for themselves. The spirit of your get-together is a reciprocal one, much like the exchange of business cards. Your guest hands you a card, you hand him one. It's the same when you drink with your Japanese guests. Here are the 5 guidelines for drinking with the Japanese. Whether it's wine, beer, Japanese sake, or some other beverage, 1. Always pour the drinks for your guests. It is considered very poor manners in Japan to do otherwise. 2. Don't start drinking until everyone has been served. Usually a short toast is offered. 3. And in the spirit of reciprocation, you should never pour your own drink. One of your guests will do that for you. 4. Pay attention to everyone's glasses and fill them whenever they're half empty. Again, they will pour into your glass when yours is half empty.
I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Mr. Sato and Mr. Tanaka for all your efforts today. We really accomplished an awful lot. To our future business cooperation, kanpai.
Kanpai. Kanpai.
The Japanese word for making a toast is kanpai, which literally means empty the cup. It's usually not a good idea to invite spouses and others not directly related to the business at hand. This is especially true if the Japanese guests are all without their spouses. The dinner is something to be shared among the inner circle of business colleagues only, to strengthen relationships and mutual trust. Your guests may feel it difficult to unwind and may be reluctant to discuss business if they chose to in front of people they consider to be outsiders. It's after dinner, over drinks, where much of the real business in Japan is carried out on a practical level. It's in this setting that Japanese businessmen can rid themselves of the burdens of work and talk heart to heart on a personal level in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere. And as a Westerner attempting to do business with the Japanese, this is one of your best opportunities to make real progress, advance your business relationship, and find out what's really going on.
By the way, this is just between you and me, but we're planning to incorporate surface mount technology in coming 6 months.
That's a signal that you're entering the most vulnerable and most trusting level of discussion, which the Japanese call honne. The unwritten rule, which must never be broken, is that confidential information or frank opinions offered under these circumstances should not be revealed to anyone else or discussed on an official level later on, even with the person who offered it. While in many Western countries, inviting a guest to your home extends to them the greatest respect, in Japan, the opposite is true. Taking a guest to a first-class restaurant is the highest form of honor, so it may not be appropriate to invite Japanese guests to your home on their first visit to your company. They may feel uncomfortable and feel too much obligation. But after you've succeeded in establishing a close personal relationship with your Japanese counterpart, it may be a good demonstration of Western hospitality to invite him to your home.
You should feel comfortable taking your guest on a tour of your house, but you don't need to show certain rooms, like the bathroom, bedrooms, closets, and the kitchen. In the traditional Japanese mind, these rooms remain behind the scenes. As we've mentioned, the Japanese like concrete things. That's why they love to record events with photographs, whether at your home, at a restaurant, or during their visit at the company. A nice gesture would be to offer to take a picture with your family.
When your guests leave, the typical protocol is really not unlike social customs in Western countries.
Trip over to see us. We really appreciate that.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
I want to express our sincere hope for a long and mutually beneficial relationship. And I'd like you to have this small gift as a remembrance of our meetings.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Whether or not the visit was a success and you can develop future business depends largely on what you do after your guests leave. A sense of trust between the two companies will grow as you fulfill your obligations and do what you've said you'll do. For the Japanese, continuity in human relationships is one of the highest values. This means that maintenance of good business relations on a long-term basis rather than a one-time business deal should be stressed. Therefore, it's very important that you not forget to, 1, write thank you letters to all guests and related people, and 2, fulfill immediately any promises or obligations you made during their visit. The Japanese are very conscious of obligation and responsibility. In Japan, each newly developed relationship sets up a kind of obligation balance sheet that involves giving and receiving favors on a long-term reciprocal basis, sometimes for life. That's why it's so important to provide total care and observe proper protocol from the start, in this case, when you first meet your guests. 3, again, try to reciprocate. If possible, plan a trip to visit your guest in Japan. International cooperation requires travel and sacrifice on both sides. 4, send seasonal greetings at least once a year. A combined Christmas-New Year's card with a short, handwritten, business-related greeting is appropriate. Japanese tradition also includes a general-purpose greeting card in the early summer. Total care. It's the key to a successful and mutually beneficial relationship with your Japanese guests. To develop a team directed towards the same ends. In this program, you've seen the many forms that this concept of total care can take. In your initial greeting, riding in the car, serving tea, taking a plant tour, in fact, in all the ways that you interact with your guests. Total care. It is the beginning of developing a productive, trusting business relationship with your Japanese guests long into the future.